It's PRESSCORE, people. I'm David Cruz. Earliest days of the Mikey Sherrill era. Have we learned anything? Let's see what our panelists say. Joining us today, Jelani Gibson from NJ Advanced Media, Dustin Racioppi of Politico, and Fred Snowflack of InsiderNJ. Gents, welcome. So as I said, earliest days, have we learned anything, Dustin?
I haven't learned a whole lot. We've learned who her new chief of staff is,
Yeah.
Alex Ball, and her chief counsel, Tim Lydon, a very experienced state house guy. As far as policy goes, that's still a big question. She hasn't really laid out a full agenda. We don't know, what her first 100 days are going to look like or what she wants them to look like. So those are still details that I think a lot of us here are all anxious to still try to find out.
Yeah, Fred, she needed a steady hand. I mean, Alex Ball she's a baller, um, but she doesn't know a lot about Trenton, and the governor's job is about knowing a lot about Trenton and making her way around that. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, obviously, Mikey Sherrill feels very comfortable with her. I mean, she sort of orchestrated a campaign that turned out won by 13, 14 points. So again, looking ahead, I was at a press conference right after the election. She did reiterate on her first day she's going to use this executive order to freeze energy prices. But other than that, we don't know what else she's going to be doing.
Jelani, anything style-wise, substance-wise? I mean, she met with the GOP leadership. That was something, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also the reason why she hired Tim Lydon. I mean, that man is very much known within the circles of Trenton. As far as meeting with the GOP, it's what every governor has to do. As we know, New Jersey is a tad bit different because we have a GOP that still, tends to work with the Democratic Party on things, and they also still have their disagreements as well.
Yeah, Dustin O'Scanlan told us on Hold That Thought that Mikey Sherrill was classy and that he was optimistic. Republicans have no choice but to be optimistic, right?
I think they said the same thing about Phil Murphy.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that Mikey Sherrill is not nice and classy, because I think that is true. But when you get down to business in Trenton,
yeah,
all that stuff goes away, and we'll be hearing soon enough from Republicans about how awful she is and how bad the Democrats are.
And if I may just say, I mean, if you believe in two-party government and checks and balances, Republicans have kind of been decimated. There's only going to be 23 Republicans out of 80 in the assembly, and they really can't do much of anything other than just complain. I mean, obviously, Mikey doesn't need the Republicans to get anything passed, right?
Yeah, pretty weak they are, Jelani. Yeah, as weak as I can remember.
This is one of the things that the Republican Party is going to have to reckon with. They were talking about how Trump made a lot of gains and everything like that, and this is what political reporters have always talked about how Trump can be good for the presidential election, but he can also be very, very complicated for Republicans going into other elections and midterms.
Yeah. Dustin, are they still the party of Trump now, or has the electorate beat it out of them?
But that's a really good question. I've been wondering that myself. There are some Trump supporters in the caucus, but I don't see how the Republican Party in New Jersey can move forward being loyal to Trump. He's been nothing but an albatross for the party, and he's only been good for himself. So I think there needs to be, or there will be, a course correction for the Republicans starting probably pretty soon.
So, Fred, you travel in those red parts of the state. What are the tea leaves saying in the red parts of the state? Is this now going to be the party of Trump, or is it going to be the party of I don't know, Tom Kean Sr. or John Bramnick?
Well, right now, we're still like in the wake of the election. They're still sort of shell-shocked and in mourning, and every day things are continuing to get worse. I don't know if people may not have noticed, it may not be a big deal, but here locally up in Morris County, just updated vote tallies, the Democrats won the mayor's seat in Parsippany. So that means they've taken over Parsippany, which is the biggest town in Morris County. So, and also the Democrats won a state assembly seat in Morris County. So Republicans are kind of shell shocked. I think they will eventually come to the realization that, as I said earlier, that Donald Trump is just bad for them. That's the bottom line. I mean, Jack went in full scale MAGA. We saw what happened.
First, we take Parsippany, then we take the White House. Jelani, Sherrill's candidacy brought the coalition, the Democratic coalition, together, even if it was just in the last month of the campaign. I mean, you had union leaders and party bosses holding hands and singing. I don't know what the song of the week is for Democrats, but we were even celebrating the machine. I thought they were the enemy.
Yeah, I mean, look, I was there on election night when Mikey Sherrill won, and I spoke to people like Janine LaRue. I spoke to people like Newark Mayor Ras Baraka. I spoke to a lot of people that were part of a lot of coalitions, and what was made very clear to me is that a lot of those coalitions essentially supported Mikey Sherrill because they essentially felt like they had no choice in the wake of Jack Ciattarelli's loyalty to the Trump platform. And Newark Mayor Ras Baraka has also made very clear that he still intends to, prod and push Sherrill on some progressive issues. Those other groups have said that they intend to do the same thing. So, as with many things, I think that there will also be a significant test for Sherrill during her second run, depending on how many of those items she's delivered on. One thing that Ras Baraka and her are still arguing about is a civilian review board with subpoena power. And so keeping an eye on seeing what that fight looks like as well.
She's been kind of anti in that or non-committal.
Rather, she's been framed as non-committal
Yeah.
to anti, depending on which person you speak to and the amount of optimism that they have. And, that more than likely, as she has said herself, stems from her background as a prosecutor. Oftentimes, the argument that is made is that civilian review boards shouldn't have subpoena power because it's being controlled outside of the justice system and is setting up a secondary process. And obviously, that's not really an argument that the progressive people take. And they also point to the grand jury system. If you don't trust, if you think that things should be in the hands of non-experts, then why do we have a grand jury system that puts our fate in the hands of non-experts?
Yeah. Fred, can they hold that coalition together?
Well, and another thing I point, and just related to what was just said,
Yeah.
she's also been non-committal on the immigrant trust directive. Which is
we're going to get to that.
Okay, yeah, but which is also something that she's sort of been non-committal, and that's a big deal for progressives and people on the left. I mean, she's going to have to, obviously, she can't be non-committal forever. So that's going to be a big issue too in terms of holding that coalition together.
Yeah, can she? Is she going to have to?
I think if
is she going to have to give, or are progressives going to have to give?
Well, I think to hold the coalition together, she's going to have to give on the immigrant trust directive. I think she's going to have to support it.
Dustin, can she hold it together?
I guess that depends on
a former fighter pilot come to New Jersey and hold it together.
I don't know. I haven't covered her closely enough to know what sort of political skills that she has. And even if I did, being in Trenton is a whole different animal from being in Washington. So again, that's another thing that remains to be seen. But I think what we all know sitting here today is that she's not really progressive. She's more of a centrist Democrat. She may have some progressive streaks in her.
Yeah.
And the legislative leaders, Craig Coughlin and Nick Scutari, aren't all that progressive either. So, and neither are many of the party leaders. So at this moment of intense focus on affordability, I have a hard time seeing how the progressive wing of the party and the activists are going to be very satisfied within that first couple of months or first year. I think there might be a lot of frustrations there.
Yeah, Jelani, I mean, we should have seen that coming. I mean, the 80% of Black voters, 70% of Latino voters went for Phil Murphy, and they weren't too happy with him either. In that sense, Mikey Sherrill may be more of same, no?
Well, I mean, it remains to be it remains to be seen what
Yeah,
she is not going to deliver on. A lot of those groups did also release some additional, items they wanted, and it seems that Mikey Sherrill does seem to have the most progressive bona fides on things like abortion and stuff like that. So some of the other things that they have on the agenda would be like the New Jersey Voter Empowerment Act, which strengthens voting protections. You have the Climate Superfund Act, which is supposed to generate 50 billion over 20 years for resiliency projects,
yeah.
protections for gender affirming care and abortion providers, reproductive care, bringing
That's
incarcerated.
where those sound like spots where she could meet the left.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
it would be. I'm not as a reporter. It's hard to see her saying just straight up no to all of those things.
yeah,
The things that have to do with policing. However, I do see that being a point of probably more than likely a point of debate between those two
yeah,
coalitions. Codifying and strengthening protections against police use of force. As I said, the CRB with subpoena power earlier.
yeah.
I would say that when it comes to healthcare, there are going to be some things that her and the progressives agree on, and when it comes to things like policing, there's a lot of room for disagreement.
Yeah, so here we go into the lame duck session. Always interesting to see how active the legislature becomes, Fred, and anything that we can expect to come out of the lame duck. I mean, we can start with the Immigrant Trust Directive and the Immigrant Trust Act, which some people say could make it through
Yeah, I
the
guess
lame
that's a
duck.
possibility, but I guess this is a total lame duck, right? It's not only lame duck for the legislature, it's lame duck for the governor too.
Yeah,
Which I guess in a way means they can do anything they want, right? So they have some sort of a clearance to do whatever. So yes, I mean I'm sure that could make Mikey happy if that issue is sort of taken care of before she gets to the governor's chair.
Uh, how about this thing? They want to transfer powers from the controller's office to the Commission of Investigations. I mean, Dustin, that sounds to me like they really, really hate Kevin Walsh.
Hi, I'm Kevin Walsh, New Jersey's acting state comptroller.
They really, really do. Because Kevin Walsh is doing his job
Yeah,
and doing it aggressively. And whether people agree with it or not, he's going after powerful people and entities. So that doesn't usually fly over too well. And the SCI has found itself in some trouble,
State
some
Commission
questions
of
about.
Investigations, right?
Yes,
That's
yes,
what
yes.
State Commission of Investigations. Sorry, go ahead.
Right there. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. There was a controversy some months ago over the leader of the commission
Yeah,
having ethics issues. And so it raised questions as a whole about the SCI. Um, I do want to flag another thing,
yeah,
self-promotion. We had a scoop this morning about a new nuclear bill being pushed. So we might see that in lame duck to try to reopen a nuclear power plant, which gets to the broader issue that was a theme during the campaign of energy prices and affordability. So we could see some energy things moving in lame duck that would actually have no real near-term consequence, but it's interesting politically, like that they're actually trying to address these issues that people were talking about during the campaign.
yeah. That's crazy. Addressing issues that were discussed in a
I know,
campaign.
but it's only one bill, and it's
Yeah,
still
right,
got a
right.
way to
Let's
go.
not get crazy.
Yeah.
Jelani, you were talking about civilian complaint review boards earlier and the immigrant trust directive. What's yours? I mean, the immigrant trust directive probably has a better shot than the civilian complaint review boards with subpoena power. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, considering the fact that mayors like Ras Baraka would want that to be a statewide thing, but
Yeah.
it's also important to understand that civilian complaint review board with subpoena power isn't necessarily a panacea. I mean, we already know that just looking at New York, right?
Places that have it. Yeah.
Yeah, and their people they step down all the time because even if you have subpoena power, there's also the question of what just happens when the police don't respond to the subpoena. Who has the enforcement power to make the police show up for violating
So
the
does that
subpoena?
mean it's less likely to pass in the lame duck or no?
Immigrant Trust Act would more than likely have a higher chance, but it's also important to understand that Mikey Sherrill is more supportive of the directive, obviously meaning that she's supportive of the policy while she has whoever she chooses for AG, right? And that'll be something to watch because I mean it's 4 years. It's 4 years, and we also don't know what the Trump presidency is going to look like for the rest of these years and what type of pressure the tactics of the administration are going to create in terms of momentum for permanent codification of that bill.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. I said this morning that among us, we don't have enough fingers to count the people who are lining up to run for Congress in the 7th, 9th, and 11th districts. Any of those districts, candidates that stick out to you as particular favorites or should be running? Fred, let's start with you. Pick it, 7th, 9th, 11th.
Well, let's start with the 11th, which is
Yeah.
Mikey's old district. I mean, who stands out is Tom Malinowski because he is she is, we know that you don't have to live in a district where you run.
Yeah.
But Malinowski did get elected twice in CD7, and even though the district has changed, now he's running in CD11, which isn't really all that close to where he lives. And obviously he's hoping, I guess, that his experience is going to mean something. And it's a logical question, I think, for Democrats in CD11. Why vote for him? Why doesn't he run in CD7 where he lives so he could maybe beat Tom Kane Jr.? But I mean, that's something interesting to watch. And now I see that Brendan Gill is considered a favorite, but maybe the lieutenant governor was going to be running for Congress too, Tahisha Way. So that really throws it completely wide open in CD11.
Is she in the 11th, Tahisha Way?
Yeah, she'd be running in the 11th. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she lives in Wayne, I believe. So that's.
Yeah, Dustin, this is a rare moment of peace. It's only going to last a couple of weeks. It's already ended, really, because the speculation is rampant over who's running where and what district and people retiring. Any names jump out to you?
I mostly agree with Fred. I would say that Malinowski, based on his record, would probably be the prohibitive front runner. He's also, I think, objectively speaking, a really talented sort of politician and campaigns very well. He's pretty charismatic to voters. I just wonder if, having so many Democrats competing that they just start cannibalizing each other and it becomes really a toss-up at primary time where somebody who's lesser known maybe just ekes it out by a couple hundred or a couple thousand votes.
Yeah.
I would say that for the 7th and the 11th, although in the 7th, again, agreeing with Fred, the Rebecca Bennett seems also to be a little bit ahead in trying to see if she can replicate that Mikey Sherrill model with the military background. And she's been raising a strong amount of money too. So that always helps. But Kane's going to be really difficult to beat. Despite the governor's race results, I don't think you can map that onto midterms, but he's won that district already, and I think he's in a good spot today.
Yeah, when it comes to Congress, you win twice, and you're kind of in there permanently.
Yeah.
Jelani, any names jump out at you for any of those districts?
Well, I've been to both events, right? I've at least both of the favorites. I've been to
In the 11th.
oh, in the so we're not talking about
No,
Malinowski.
I didn't know which one you were referring
Yeah,
to. I'm sorry.
Malinowski is the 11th. Yeah.
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 I mean, I was at Malinowski's event. He had his event at a deli. And I was also at Brendan Gill's event. Brendan Gill had his event at his house. The had his neighborhood blocked off,
Right.
and everything.
Used to be the county
Well, when
commissioner.
I remember, like, I
Yeah,
was at that
me,
event, and I
me.
remember that it was standing in the cold rain.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. It was so terrible. It was I plan when I write about Gil and Malinowski, I am putting that in the article. Like all of the reporters were we were abjectly miserable. He has the event. Like Malinowski, he has his event in a deli. It's basically like, like a glee club, kind of like, nerd meeting. No, like it really is. Like
Yeah.
I was at Malinowski's
I was
meeting.
there too. They were talking about Star Trek and Star Wars. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, like I was at Malinowski's meeting and I'm sitting there and like he's talking literally like very, very deeply about like all of these like policy things. And I'm sitting there in the background just thinking to myself, this is probably the most I've heard anybody continuously talk about policy for like an hour plus. Like he is definitely the
he's that guy.
yeah, he is like he says that he would like to challenge Andy Kim to like a nerd off, like that's who that, and so then you go to like Brendan Gill's event, and it's this event, he being in the Essex County political machine has its benefits, right? Gets his neighborhood, blocked off, police, all that stuff. We go to the event. He has like tents up on the street and stuff. It is cold. It is raining. It is windy. All of these people are outside and they bring forward like 12, like, I don't know how they bring forward like several political speakers, and every machine person has to get their 10 to 20-minute speech in. And me and the reporters, we're just sitting there out here in the cold, and we're like, are they really going to let all of this speak
Man,
while we're out here?
that's nothing. Chris Christie used to hold press conferences in the middle of the summer and put out metal chairs for the reporters to sit on. So you ain't seen nothing yet, kid. I got a
Well,
name for you all. I got a name for you all in the 11th. Ana Lilia Mejia. Some of
Yeah.
you may not know her. She's from the Working Families Party here in New Jersey. She was national political director for Bernie Sanders, was at the Department of Labor, Center for Popular Democracy. I mean, you could argue that there is no Working Families Party in New Jersey. There is no Sue Altman. There is no Tear Down the Line. There is no Andy Kim without Ana Lilia Mejia being there early, stoking the fires. Fred, no?
I had not heard that. I mean, obviously, there's many people running. I mean, as we were saying before, with so many people in the race, you could get 25% and win.
Yeah.
So-
She has.
But, obviously, I mean, assume some of them may drop out before we get to the election. But I guess you mentioned Mikey before. One notable thing, she did say in her last speech to Congress that she's going to resign her seat next week from Congress. So that will start the ball rolling to the special election in CD11.
What about Mejia, Dustin? You remember her? Yeah.
I do remember her. She, and from what I remember, unless she's changed, I doubt it. She is also very gifted and charismatic, and also knows what she's talking about. At least she did when she was with Working Families. So she's got the New Jersey background, and I think she can speak pretty well, knowledgeable about like the issues that actual people are facing.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
So, but she hasn't announced anything, so I actually hadn't heard that name being floated either.
All right. Well, then I just floated it. Darn it.
Maybe
David,
broke
that's
some
cool.
news.
Let me get to this because I'm running out of time. Just real short answers here. We'll call this segment "Thoughts on This." Best acronym: Fight Unlawful Conduct and Keep individuals and communities empowered. Did you take a minute to work that out in your head, guys? Is it the best
Yeah.
acronym for a bill ever, Dustin? It's
Well,
pretty good.
I just default to that being my favorite word. So yeah, sure.
Fred, you got it, right?
Yeah, I guess that's pretty good. Yep.
I know you don't use that kind of language. Jelani, you got it,
Not in
right?
Hudson County, not in Morris County.
It is the newsroom's favorite word. Let's be honest.
Very nice. Right. Hey, it's not a newsroom unless it is. Real quick, Jim McGreevy says he'll serve just one term. Why would you tell someone that, Dustin?
To try to win, it reeks of a little bit of desperation.
Yep. Fred, desperation or is
Yeah,
he
no, I mean, I saw a poll this week. Maybe the Solomon team put it out, but it had
yeah.
Solomon winning by a lot. So I don't know if that's true or not. I don't. My guess right now is that McGreevy is not going to win.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
Jelani, you tell somebody you're only running once. Aren't you just saying, I don't really want this job?
You're saying, I know that I need more votes.
Yeah. All right. Last one. Yes or no? Permanent daylight savings time. Somebody's proposing that in the legislature. Jelani, yes or no?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. Dustin, yes or no on permanent daylight savings time?
Emphatic yes. It's stupid.
It's
It's just really stupid.
Fred, bring it home for us.
I would say yes too. So then it won't be dark by 5 o'clock in the winter time. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Press score is done for the week. Jelani, Dustin, Fred, thank you guys for coming on. And thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing. I'm David Cruz. We'll see you next week.